Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's time for AMA number 6. If you want to ask any questions, join the YamatoCannon subreddit or join our Discord where we will have lovely discussion. We are steadily growing. It is a fun time. Week 1 of the LEC is over and it is time to jump into some of your questions. Atrice on Reddit asks, "Hey Yamato, could you please talk about the flow state and how to achieve it consistently? It's a wonderful and very useful thing in various aspects of life, but also more specifically to League." I 100% agree. So for those who don't know, flow is a state of like intense and focused concentration in the present. It's the merging of action and awareness, and it's also, not letting emotions get to you, meaning that you disconnect from the reflective part of your self-conscious, meaning if there are certain judgments that you put upon yourself or judgment that you put upon your situation, meaning, oh, I did so bad, that could be a distraction. The humor of it, maybe you laugh, any type of distraction, hyper focus, this focus. The flow state of mind is just being there and really asking yourself the right questions, merging action and awareness, as I mentioned before. So in the context of League, this is super important, right? Because usually the mistakes that we make are mistakes that we know are mistakes, and they happen out of lack of discipline. And usually League of Legends games, on average are like 30 minutes long, unless it's like an open. And having this level of concentration for 30 minutes straight is very difficult, and it is probably the most challenging aspect of playing at the highest level of League of Legends. And the best way to practice this is always through meditation. Hey Muffin. So right now Muffin distracted me, right? And in meditation, the whole purpose is that you focus on your breath. Focus on your breath and you allow yourself to be in this state of mind where distractions might happen. The more difficult your meditation session is, like you could be in Starbucks and there's a lot of noise, the better it is, right? And every time you get distracted, you try to pull yourself back in. You try to remind yourself of what you're doing, and that is like one repetition. That is your concentration muscle. That is your flow muscle. Having a rep, it's like a rep in the gym, right? So the best way to practice it is through meditation and to be very mindful of it when you are playing, reminding yourself of trying to find that focus before you join a game. Meditate before. I've mentioned this in my season 10 video preparation. Making sure that you always remind yourself, and then afterwards you take a look at your state of mind throughout the game. You can review the gameplay. You can also review the state of mind that you were at. Were you angry? Were you upset? Or something distracting you? Because usually the emotions that we experience and the ones that we let get to us are the ones that are often reoccurring. It's very easy to say, oh, this thing always annoys me. It grinds my gears when there's a player who plays bad and at the same time writes in chat. This is something that bothers me the most, right? So this is something that I have to address until I recognize myself in that pattern. And then you can begin to build habits in your own mind to increase the level of your own focus. Meaning that if you're at the crossroads and you can choose, this can be distracting, or it can become a reminder for you to recenter your focus. Because that's the whole point. It's all about, reminding yourself and finding a way to bringing yourself back in, recognizing yourself in a bad state of mind. That is the whole point. Because it's going to happen, and you need to be able to find a way to bring yourself back in. And a state of flow would be finding that perfect spot. And that is always going to be difficult, Sometimes I have games where I feel like, oh my goodness, I was focused for the entire game. Next one, maybe not so much. And it's all about practice, meditation. Link the two. And as our dear Tree said, it is beneficial in every walk of life. NoNam326 asks, what is your opinion on the current number of champions? Does the league need more? And if so, what roles are mostly needing them? Honestly, I think the amount of champions is kind of decent. I think there's a lot of champions that just don't belong and might need to get a rework. But I think maybe for solo queue it's time to reconsider the amount of bans, or maybe in competitive as well. For now, I think if you have good balance, which I think maybe now it can't be argued for now in terms of how strong Senna is, or maybe Aphelios, or like Rumble, Lucian, Akali. There are definitely champions that are really, really OP. But in competitive, I don't know. It's been rare when I feel like, oh my goodness, I need more bans. But in solo queue, I've really, really felt that. Because there's a lot of champions that are truly, truly obnoxious in solo queue. But in terms of the amount of champions, I don't know how set is going to impact the pro scene, but I like it when new champions kind of shake things up, because it forces everyone to think outside of the box. And in terms of what role needs more champions, honestly, I think jungle is super, super dry, and it's very hard to create junglers, because junglers, usually the champions that can sustain a lot in jungle and set up for CC and so forth, are usually really, really strong laners too. And right now with Rek'Sai, Lee Sin, Elise, they found such a nice balance of it just working in the jungle. Usually it's champions that are like really weak level 1, level 2, level 3, and are very reliant on, all-in situations. And it is tricky to design junglers, I imagine. Del Mastron asks, do you see professional league becoming a televised sport in regions like EU or NA? The thing is, I don't think it needs to. I think television is a dying medium, and I think streaming will be bigger and bigger. We see Netflix, we see Amazon Prime, Disney is doing their own thing, and Twitch. I wouldn't be surprised if the next step would be to integrate Twitch chat with premieres of massive movies or massive series. Imagine if Amazon Prime, they release their next series and the premiere is going to be aired live on Twitch, and then you're watching series with the whole Twitch chat experience. And I think the Twitch chat experience is just really, really insane. I think that's like the future. Regardless of what you think about the Twitch chat, I've had a lot of good moments, and it's a lot of good fun with the memes and all. Admiral Smoker 777 asks, I hear you speaking a lot about football. Which is your favorite league to watch and follow at the moment, and what is your favorite team? Honestly, it's too time consuming. I used to watch it a lot, but it bothers me a lot if I can't like fully engulf myself in something, and if I just watch a game every now and then, it's just going to bother me. So right now, the only thing I'm looking at is just the golazos. I'm looking at highlight reels of goals. I don't follow any specific league. In the past, what I did was what most fans do in League of Legends. I followed players, and when they switched teams, I just kept looking at those players. And I was a bandwagoner. I like to look at the highest level of football. Kind of like the whole SKT thing. Everyone liked SKT because they were the best, right? Not because they had some crazy personalities. It was just the prestige of it. That's what Fakers love for, the prestige of it. And sure, Fakers showing a lot more personality, seeing Tyler 1 getting spanked and all, but I like the teams that are the best. Abilainen asks, as a Swede who works in the construction business, planning projects and so on, I've been wanting to try my hands at some bigger things in the other countries. How did you get used to living in another country? Like some big differences from Sweden? Well, honestly, the differences aren't that big. I think just the language is something you have to get used to. You need to be able to speak English, and sometimes you need to learn how to speak German in my case, right? I think it was easier for me because I never lived alone, and when I moved to Germany for the first time, it was the first time I moved away from my parents. So there's so many things that were changing, so being in a different country was like the least of my worries, and the smallest part of the change. Because I was in a gaming house for the first time, and doing all that jazz, being in the LCS and so forth. So with that in mind, I don't know what kind of advice I can give you, but honestly, I just feel like the biggest loss is like the people that you know, because that's what I miss, the family, the friends, and sometimes coming to a new country, it can be very difficult to find new people, especially in in how I am, you know. I like to sit inside, but I'm fine with not knowing a lot of people. Sometimes I dislike people. It will be our little secret. Peregrine the Onlooker asks, what's your overarching plans now that you're a freelancer? During your subreddit announcement video, you said you couldn't share it. I was wondering if you might be able to yet. Well, I'm in the LEC. That is part of it. I'm in the LEC. I'm doing Euphoria. Let's see where it goes, you know. Those were big parts of my announcements. There are some smaller projects that are on the way, and hopefully, you know, that is what we're doing, you know. So it's cool. It's cool. Trinity Core asks, can you explain why Reworked Pantheon has been perma-banned in the competitive scene since its release? I've never seen any pro play in the LEC or LCK training him in solo queue so far. What are his strengths in an organized team? Well, honestly, he was very OP when he was released, and I think that's when he deserved to be perma-banned, meaning at the World Championship. I think right now it's a big bait. It's a giga bait. I think anyone that plays it is, you know, anyone that's banning it or playing it, it's out of fear of what the champion could do in terms of the global power. It's something that you need to practice against and maybe get used to, but I think overall the strength of the champion is honestly trash tier. I think it's terrible. I think top lane is very weak. I think it's a massive bait. I think a lot of teams are banning it out of fear of the global power, and maybe they didn't practice against it enough. Because that's just another one of those champions where you have to think a bit differently. But I think definitely, you know, Pantheon is garbage. Okay, thank you, Cookie. Thanks, Cookie. That's great. You're definitely a cat, Cookie. No one can deny that. AP23 asks, opinion on Senna and Aphelios at ADC in pro play. Do you think they will be pick ban all year long like Kaiser Zaya? Well, it depends if they get nerfed or not, right? So I can't really predict what's going to happen in the patch changes. Aphelios, I think people haven't figured him out, and I think they guts them really, really hard in 10.2. So I think he's going to drop in prior. Senna didn't get nerfed in 10.2, and I think Senna was 50 times more broken than Aphelios. Senna doesn't have a weakness. Strong lane, strong mid game, strong late game. It is unbelievably OP. The champion heals, for God's sake. Like, it's so good in poke situations, has good damage output, good range. It's just so unbelievably OP, and I'm honestly super shocked that is, you know, that it's still there. Mugiwara no Pascal on the Discord asks, what do you think about the other coaches of the LEC? I'm going to be honest with you, there are some coaches that I'm honestly surprised that they even have a job. Some coaches I'm respectful of, like whether it's Young Buck, that is Grabs, and then there's, you know, others that are just, wow, this guy still has a job. Jesus, what's going on? Hopefully all of the poison will be filtered out eventually, and you know, the respect of the coaching role will grow as we move on to the future. Balad asks, how confident are you in the new team Mad Lions that they are going to perform well? Honestly, I don't know. This is the rookie team that might stand out, but there's a chance that they flop. Right now, the top 4 teams, it's very, very clear. It's Fnatic, Rogue, OG, and G2. So with that in mind, you know, I can't imagine Mad Lions breaking that, but it's very early in the season, right? Maybe they grow, maybe they don't. So we'll have to see. COG script. So there is a ton of content for people who want to follow the pro and high elo scene, but I've never seen or heard of a player-oriented podcast that gives a voice to anyone from bronze to pro play. Do you reckon such a podcast could become successful, and what would be your format if you had to do it? Well, this is something that I'm planning to do with my podcast. It's just, you know, I want to have people that I'm genuinely curious about, and I want us to curate that together in terms of who we're going to have on. I have already an idea for my first guest, and I'm pretty excited about that. And I will also move towards speaking to players and getting to know them more. And I'm excited about it. We'll just have to wait and see. With that in mind, I do, you know, the format. My plan is to just not have a format and just have a conversation and see where it goes, with some bullet points that I want to hit, and to just make sure that the conversation flows. A bunch of questions that I've had ready because they have been spawned through my curiosity. Thank you so much for watching. At 25k subscribers, we're going to have a headset off reveal. I am super excited because my ears will finally get a chance to breathe, and you can definitely save me from this. With that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Join the subreddit, join the Discord, and ask your goddamn questions.